Hi, it's Son TV RPG once again, and I'm about to tell you about the story thus far, part 2. So last time we had our adventurers who were listening to the king, Doraemon, and how he started the first adventuring guild. That led to the second campaign, which is a prequel to the campaign they just finished up. We had Ox, who was Petrov, who was also Jake. We had Tony/Anthony, who was Braxton, who was also Derek. We had Beaumont, who was Tempna, who is TJ. We had Melakesh, who was Anastasia, who was Josh. And we had Key, who was played by me. And finally, we had Laurentius, who was played by Ryan. They were all recruited at the beginning of the campaign, except for Melakesh, to become a new type of group for the king, Doraemon. Doraemon was looking to create an elite group that could go into different kingdoms and take care of small crises or larger crises without the kingdom itself invading. Basically, they were a small infiltration group to help without causing a diplomatic crisis. When they were all gathered together by Key, they were given tattoos. These tattoos are special. It gave them their class abilities. They were made by the Undyne. The Undyne, well, not just the regular Undyne. This was a special clan who studied tattoo making and infusing tattoos with magic. And it gave them their class abilities. So I should probably go over each one of them. We had Beaumont, who was a rogue inquisitor who was looking for his daughter that died, or maybe not. All he knows is that his wife was killed and his daughter was taken. And that was what he was in search for and what was promised to him if he joined. We had Tony/Anthony, who was an alchemist in the game. His dream was to open a brewery, but he had a knack for alchemical reactions. We had Laurentius, who was a honorable city guard who wanted to be nothing more than a knight. So he became a fighter, not a paladin. He wanted to be a fighter. Then we had our Ox, who was, once again, for the third time, a Magus. He was unique, though. He was not a human. He was a earth elemental / human. He died and was stitched back together by a scientist trying to help, which made him basically half human, half earth elemental. Then we had Key, a Aasimar, who was enslaved by, well, not just him, almost all the Aasimar in the world were enslaved by a single tiefling with immense power, who happened to be Tony's father, but Tony didn't know that because he was adopted and raised by gnomes. He was freed by the king and pledged his loyalty to him, and that's why he's been with him the longest and was made captain. In exchange for that, he promised that he would protect the rest of his people and his wife. Once they all, oh, he was playing a kineticist. That is a new class in Pathfinder. Basically, it's an avatar thing where basically they know martial arts slash elemental punch things. So they became a group of adventurers. On their journeys, they did small things to help out the world. But then they met some of their new members, Rainier, a crazy oracle who gave up his sanity to become one of the most powerful of them all. He could predict things so accurately. The problem was that you could never figure out what he was saying because he was so mad. And he could do impossible things because of his mad mentality. Well, on one of their journeys, they find several tarot cards that had special magic in them. One of them compelled Key to almost die. They took the card away from him in the nick of time, and they told Rainier to study it. Rainier simply took it and activated it fully to see what it did. It killed him. But this card came with another ability. You see, Death came to the group and told them that he had brought Rainier back because the card was made by a madman. A different kind of madman who once beat him in a game, and in exchange he wanted a card of immortality. And that's what that card was. Well, after several other missions, they decided that Rainier needs to be more accurate and they need to be able to understand him, so they need to take away his insane qualities. So they go to the Temple of Oracles and ask for his sanity back. They're warned, though, that if this happens, the consequences could be untold. They said they were fine, and he got his sanity back. This caused a reaction. As the temple collapsed, they ran away and got safely on boat and left. Unbeknownst to them, though, they had just released a wave of chaotic energy throughout the universe and multiverse, the past and future, creating small wormholes throughout the land. Out of one of these time holes came the Blackhorn Guild. Basically, the evil versions of their first characters. But unbeknownst to the group, they were gathering and meeting with somebody very powerful to do something. But this all played out in the background. They never really knew about this because it was all in the... Basically, it was happening somewhere else in the world that they didn't know about. So once they get the sanity back, once Rainier gets the sanity back, he's more confident. He's better able to help. He's better able to help them. Well, now that they have a more sane Rainier, they ask what they should do next. He says that there's somebody in need. There's a place in need where some kind of time kerfuffle? Yeah. Some kind of time mishap is happening. They go to a different land and they find a young boy named Merrick. Merrick. Yes, the Merrick who was a vampire in the last game, who was an adventurer. This was his young version, and he was still a brilliant scientist. He told him about this crazy wormhole that was causing time manipulation. He said that he would help them with this. In exchange, he wanted to be part of their group and wanted the power to immortality. They said they would try. So he led them to the wormhole. They tried to close it up, but end up getting sucked into the wormhole. They get sucked into the future where hell has basically broken loose. The world is decaying and crumpling under the rule of some madman called Khazgar. Khazgar is some kind of chaotic god, or maybe he's a dragon, or maybe he's just a person. They don't know. He simply is just chaos and randomness. Like the Joker, a bit. They decide that they have to figure out a way to save this universe. So they form an alliance with the Resistance, and they go to attack Khazgar. On the way, all his army has been slain, and he tells them that he wishes to meet them. He has killed his army and let the doors open just for those people. They are confused and they go. Beside him, in his kingdom, or his castle, he has a wormhole beside him. He says that he wants them to go back home. They do not trust him and they start attacking him. He does not want to attack them. He simply catches them and throws them into the wormhole. They wake back up, back in their regular timeline, with the wormhole closed. They have no idea what to think. Who was this man? And what does he want? And unbeknownst to them, somewhere else in the world, the Black Horn Guild was meeting with Khazgar. As they were discussing about finding new recruits to train, they needed warriors. Well, that's where Beaumont's daughter comes in. You see, an organization wanted them to capture his daughter, and also the son of a soon-to-be father, Key. You see, all this time his wife has been pregnant, and they've been expecting soon. And while on the journey, she was in labor, and they stole the child away. So now Beaumont and Key are both distraught, and they need to find their children. But they can't. They have to get back to their duties. Soon they hear about a quick fighting tournament that they can use to make some money, and hopefully learn some more information about these, fighters or some kind of organization that will help them. In the fight, they meet a new member called Melekesh. He was trained at a different branch to be a member for them. He's a catfolk, played by Anastasia, played by Josh, and he is a hunter, which is a druid / ranger, and his animal companion was a bear. They are teamed up for the tournament, and Beaumont is teamed up with a man who is very strange. He seems to go through every part of the tournament unscathed, almost either sheer dumb luck or some kind of skill he doesn't know, and he's growing ever more suspicious of him. At the end, it's Beaumont and this man, who never gives his name out, and Melekesh and his partner. They fight. When the man reveals himself to be Khazgar and stabs Melekesh with a blade that dissipates. Unbeknownst to Melekesh, the blade was infused with some kind of magic that let Khazgar into him. It allowed him to speak to him and be part of him. And this became an ongoing thing for Melekesh. While going going about their ventures, they find a temple where another time anomaly is happening. They look into it, and they find that this place has an underground slavery ring for some reason, where they meet a young boy that Melkesh saves. After saving the boy, they discover that they've been hiding the time wormhole behind the throne. Suddenly, the boy looks into the wormhole and says he sees it now. Everything is chaos. Chaos. They soon realize that this man is the soon-to-be Khazgar, and they try to kill him, but it's too late. He dissipates and flows into the time stream. And they have just created Khazgar. Soon enough, they find more wormholes and they start closing them more and more. In one of them, they meet a young man, or yes, a young man named Raz. Raz is a druid, and he's a very unorthodox druid, very clumsy but very sweethearted. And they meet a samurai named Zamar. They become new members for the team, and they go and help them out throughout their ventures. But they soon discover that there's someone behind the scenes, someone they've never met before, causing these catastrophes. They look into it and they find the Black Flame Gisaris, basically the evil Gisaris from the first game. Before they are able to interrogate him, he flees. Laurentius, who knows who Gisaris is baffled and contacts him. Gisaris says he does not know and doesn't have any answer for him, but to be careful of this person. Now, unbeknownst to Laurentius, the Gisaris he knows is also evil. You see, when Gisaris in the first campaign went through the portal with his enemy, he absorbed him into himself, tainting him and becoming evil. And he wants to train Laurentius so that he can absorb him into his own body and become a new, better, younger man. While all this is happening, they learned about another time hole. They go through, or they don't go through, but they go, and they are stopped by two new warriors. The Flamed Archer, he calls himself, and the Trailing Shadow. They are a duo, a fledgling and an Aasimar, who fight very well and confidently. They do so much, and they are able to whip them, but good. Whip them, but good. They don't know who these warriors are, but they're wary of them. Who are they, and where are they coming from? Again, unbeknownst to them, though, in the sidelines, Khazgar is ripping himself apart and throwing bits and pieces of himself into the wormhole. He is immortal. As you can guess, he was the one who made the card that cheated death. And he regenerates. But for some reason, he just keeps hacking himself up and throwing himself into a portal of his own. Well, one of the Black Flame guilds, Dark Graven, the robot, decides to talk to him and tell him that he must just tell them what he's up to. Khazgar simply kills him and tells them that they all need to know. After some more venturing, the group learns that they're losing their powers for some reason. They don't know why. To this they learn that their tattoos are powered by a source of magic, and they must go and find out what's happening. In their pursuit, they learn about the two warriors, and that they are the daughter and son of Key and Beaumont. They were trained and raised in an accelerated time frame using the time hole. While that's happening, they're defending the source of magic against a gargoyle, the one that killed Ox in the first place. In that battle, they win. They defeat Ox's enemy, the gargoyle, and they're able to save their friends and their family, including Beaumont's child and Key's child. But there's still something strange going on. They go and find out about the evil man. So they go and find out the information of where the tiefling that killed and captured so many Aasimar was. He had a facility, but they would need to find out more by going into a jail cell of a dangerous man and finding more information. In that jail cell, they found Void, a brooding and powerful monk who was very secretive and very anti-hero. He simply told them that he would find him himself and kill him because he was with Key in the camps. He was basically a slave hunter. He hunted his own people in order to keep himself safe, and he regrets that to this day. When pressed for answers, by Ox, he simply just beats him up and tells him to leave him alone. He tells him where to find the tiefling, but only he, Key, and Key's son are allowed to go because it's their fight. While that's happening, a wormhole has appeared in their city that they protect. The others go to stop it. They are sucked into the future, where they learn about an assassination plot against the king. They must quickly stop it and get back to their time. They are helped by the future versions of Merrick, Raz, and Zamar. They go back to the past. Key, Void, and Key's son are there to greet them again, and they all go and stop the plot of assassination. They luckily were able to do it, and with that, it seems like their adventures were almost over. The reports of all the wormholes were closing, and they had done a lot to help support and unite nations throughout their campaign. So they decided to relax for a bit. They decided they were going to hang up the belt for a bit and basically help others set up their own guild stations. But before that happened, Khazgar used his foul strength to take over Melkesh, kill Rainier, and absorb him, because Rainier and Khazgar were both made by the same energy card. His chaos brought forth Khazgar, and Rainier was made of that chaos as well. And he absorbed his essence. Khazgar basically became a god. He told them that he was not there to hurt them because they were his friends. They were the ones who created him. He said that he was tired of living forever. He simply wanted to spread the chaos, and he gave up his immortality to do that. So he's been tearing himself up and throwing bits and pieces of himself into portals to spread him throughout every universe in every reality. That's why he's currently in almost every single universe they've been to in the third campaign. You're probably wondering, what about the Black Flame group? Well, he tells them that there were other people with him, but once he was done with this, he threw them into the portal as well. He had no use for them. So that's why whenever they go to a different universe in this game, they've met a black-horned member who've tainted their ideals, or who've tainted the universe. And that's how this third game set up, basically, with the multiverse infected with different time anomalies that were caused by Khazgar, who threw in the Black Flame Guild into the universe. And the group must face them. You're probably wondering, what about the Tiefling that Keysun, and Void tried to get? Ha! He had his own portal and left before they could even get to him. Who knows where he is? And that's the story thus far for the last campaign. My last one will be about what has happened in between the start of the podcast and the beginning of the campaign. Thanks again for watching. It's been SongTV RPG. Like and subscribe.